Hello, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I am going to be reading 3 new release romances. This might feel like a little bit of deja vu since I very recently filmed, edited, and uploaded one of these here videos, but there are so many new hot releases in the romance category coming out this summer, and I want to have videos that are dedicated to new release romances so you can know my thoughts and feelings on them and whether or not I think you should pick them up. So in this here video, I'm going to be reading 3 different new releases. First up, obviously, is Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. This is a book that I have been hotly anticipating. It is on my most anticipated list of the year. I'm just really excited to see what Ali Hazelwood does in her 3rd romance. Is it going to feel like all of her other books? Is it going to feel different? We're going to find out together. And then the other 2 books that I'm going to be reading are books that I actually own physical copies of. First up, we have Once More with Feeling. This is a book that I am picking up because I need to read this for a list video, and also I am mildly interested in reading another book by this author. The premise of this one's definitely different, but it does seem like a second chance romance, so we'll see how that goes. And then lastly, we have a book that is the book club pick for my monthly book club this month. Unfortunately Yours by Tessa Bailey. This is the 2nd book in the Is It Vine Mess series. I am curious to see how this one goes. I actually really enjoyed the first book. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I was even more excited about this one because it feels like kind of an enemies to lovers situation, and I'm excited to see how that goes. So without further ado, let's get into the vlog portion of the video. I tried a new bronzer today. Not a good idea. I feel like my forehead's very orange. Let's ignore that. I started Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I'm loving it. I don't know how much I want to like spoil in this portion, because when I polled y'all on Discord, some of y'all were like, I want to know your thoughts and feelings immediately, and then some of you were like, I don't want to be spoiled for it, so I just will completely avoid the clips. So I'm like, well, if the people that don't want to be spoiled aren't going to watch it, should I just like spoil it for the people who are going to watch? I'm going to withhold the things that I think are like juicy and fun, okay? Or like will make your experience better if you don't know going into it. But I am going to share like my thoughts and feelings and like sweet moments, okay? So this book's about our main character Elsie, and she is a theoretical physicist, which is important emphasis on the theoretical. She is also fake dating her way through life. She just recently got her PhD, and she's an adjunct professor, which if you didn't know means that she like travels to various like colleges around her area to be a professor. She doesn't have like a true job at a university like you would typically think of. She's not on a tenure track. She is not getting to do fun research. She basically just teaches, and she doesn't really love teaching. So she is interviewing for a tenure track position at MIT, which is super exciting. But she's having to compete with someone who is an experimental physicist. And I guess experimental and theoretical physicist, like, they don't vibe. And the guy who basically made the whole field of theoretical physics looks stupid is the person that Elsie is having to like impress for this role. At the same time, like I said, she's an adjunct professor currently, and to kind of like add to not her resume but to like bolster her cash funds, she is on this dating app called FAQS, and basically you fake date people for like one time. Like you'll go on a date just to like help someone out kind of thing, but she decides to break the app's rules and fake dates a guy named Greg. He is trying to like impress his family or get his family off of his back about having a girlfriend, and so she's been going out with this guy, and he's really nice and she likes him. She doesn't want to like date him, but Greg's brother is on to our heroine. Like, he kind of thinks that some of her like stories aren't adding up. Elsie doesn't tell anyone that she fake dates about her actual profession, and so this guy, Greg's brother, is kind of like, I don't know that I believe your story. So there's like a lot going on at the beginning of this book. It definitely feels a little bit more chaotic, I would say, than the opening to a lot of Ali Hazelwood's books. It feels a little bit more interesting almost. So I actually just read the synopsis, and the thing that happened is actually not a spoiler. It's in the synopsis. So actually the brother of the guy that she's been fake dating, his name is Jack, is also the same Jack that is the like arch nemesis she has, or like this guy who hates theoretical physicists because he's an experimental physicist and is trying to like only get an experimental physicist hired for this one physics job. Jack, same guy. So this guy who like already doesn't trust her and thinks that she's a librarian or thought she was a librarian, now he's like confused, and Elsie is not willing to tell him like what the actual deal is for some reason. I think that was like the weakest part of this book so far, is the fact that like she doesn't want to just straight up tell Jack, hey, this is like why I was lying to you, or like this is why I was lying to Greg, because I don't like tell people my actual identity when I fake date. She doesn't tell Jack any of that, and I don't really know why. It doesn't really make sense. I think that like there's supposed to be an explanation there, but I didn't really get it. All that to say, I'm enjoying it. It's like very typical Allie Hazelwood stuff. I guess the only real deviation at this point is the fact that this character is described as being medium sized, not necessarily mid-sized, but like medium height, medium feet, medium boobs, medium everything, which is, you know, in contrast to some of the teacup chihuahua, Polly Pocket Pussy ass bitches that Allie Hazelwood typically writes. Not a huge deviation, don't get me wrong. And when I like posted on Goodreads about it, like people were so upset that, you know, this character wasn't actually mid-sized, but you know, I think it's a step in the right direction. And I don't know, it's tough because I think Allie Hazelwood definitely writes from a place that she is comfortable, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I mean, should we have more like body diversity in her stories? Yes, absolutely. But I don't know, these books are like for you or they're not for you, and I totally like get if they're not for people, but I like the way she writes, okay? I'm sorry, like I'm not ashamed to say it. She's fun, she's funny, she writes dynamics that feel fanficky in a way that I'm into. Frankly, I'm ready to see these two go to Bone Town. Like, I just am, okay? So I'm gonna keep reading, and if I have any juicy updates for you, I'll bring them. Okay, so I'm 50% into Love Theoretically. I want to say Love on the Brain. All of her book titles are the fucking same, and it irritates me, but that's neither here nor there at the moment. Really, it's like every time I start up a clip, you decide that you need to scratch, and I just don't think that's very fair to the viewers. Thoughts, feelings, etc., etc. This book's definitely quieter, I would say, than Allie Hazelwood's other books. Definitely sticks to her same formula. I mean, okay, formula, yes. Characters feel similar to other characters. I wouldn't say there's like a big deviation there, but I don't dislike the premise. It does have one of my favorite tropes, which is like the boyfriend's brother trope, and obviously she's like fake dating Greg, but that is a trope that I enjoy, and it's kind of present here, I guess. I also think it's interesting the way that the plot is being handled. So like obviously we have Elsie applying for this job, interviewing for it, and that plot line is wrapped up at the 50% mark of the book, and I feel like that's rare. I feel like often if that is going to be the plot line of a book, like someone vying for a job, you know, you have that kind of climax at like the 75-80% mark, and regardless of the outcome, there's usually like something else that happens, right? So like let's say she does get hired at the job, there's going to be some sort of conflict because that wasn't much of a conflict, right? If she gets it, and if she doesn't get the job, then she's going to get another job, right? At the very end of the book. Things are handled differently in this book in that there's a resolution at that 50% mark, so I don't really know where the plot is heading at this point, and I think that is nice because I think otherwise this would have felt a little too formulaic to me. I don't know that I love the romantic relationship here. Here's the thing, I don't hate it. I like our hero, I like our heroine, I like the way that he sees her. I think that's a really important thing in a romantic relationship, and I like that that's kind of the benchmark, I guess, or like that is what connects them, right? That's like the connector here, and that hasn't been the connector in the other two books. There's been other things connecting the two characters. I just feel like there's something missing, and I don't know what that is, and maybe since I'm only the 50% mark, like things will kind of become clear to me or become illuminated to me like as you know, as we keep reading. But yeah, this is just like a quieter book in some ways. It's kind of sad also in other ways. I almost teared up a little bit at something that happened just a second ago, but I'm not disliking it. Do I wish that it were a little bit more over the top and like happy simply for my own selfish reasons? Absolutely, but I'm not like angry at the book. So yeah, I don't know. At the moment, this is feeling like a 4-star read. Things could definitely change. It could definitely be a 5-star, but this is giving me more like Love Hypothesis vibes in terms of like how I'm feeling about it. I'm not having that like deep, like, oh my God, this book is perfect for me feeling that I did about Love on the Brain. The whole like pen pals hidden identity thing is like just, it is always going to be like 5-star material to me. So I guess it's unsurprising, but I was kind of hoping that this would be perfect. Who knows? Maybe it'll turn out to be perfect. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but I thought I'd have like more to update you on. Whenever I read Love on the Brain, I had so many things to say, but this one is just like a little quieter. It's a little slower moving, but yeah, very interested to see where things go. All right, friends, I'm letting my hair marinate with my dry shampoo in it, and I'm going to do my makeup while I talk to you about my final thoughts on Love Theoretically. I almost just said Love on the Brain again, y'all. I have a problem. Liked this book. I thought it was really cute. There were certain elements of it that I feel like really lent themselves to me enjoying the story. I mean, there was like a huge emphasis on Twilight. Like our main character really likes Twilight. She makes the hero of the book watch Twilight with her, which I thought was really cute. I liked the kind of like slice of life moments of this book. I think I kind of touched on it a little bit yesterday when I was talking to you about this book at the 50% mark, but one of the main plot points got wrapped up at the 50% mark. I was kind of unsure of where things would go, hero, and there definitely was another conflict. There's definitely more to the story, but there were a lot of really sweet slice of life moments between hero and heroine. I keep saying hero and heroine because I just like can't remember their names. Elsie and Jack. There were a lot of cute moments between Elsie and Jack, and part of me was like, I don't know if I like this. Is it feeling too insta love to me? But I really feel like the more that things kind of continued and the more things kind of carried on. Sorry if you can hear like searing noises because he's making some chicken, but I feel like, I don't know, I was unsure because there were so many slice of life moments. I was unsure if it was going to be too insta-lovey. Like it felt a little bit insta-love at times, but I actually liked seeing kind of the development of their relationship and how quiet in a way it was. You know, he was really determined to get to know her and to like break her walls down, and she was very willing to do that, and I liked seeing that transformation. It was very evident too in the sex scenes that like there's a lot of communication going on, and there was definitely a lot of emphasis on the two of them connecting and her letting go. I don't think this is a spoiler. Maybe you think it's a spoiler. I don't think it is. Elsie has never had a climax with a partner before. In the moment, she kind of like doesn't really care if she has one, and he's like very insistent that she have one, and kind of talks her through it, and also they just like communicate really well, and she has to kind of like let go of some of her inhibitions in that moment. And I just really thought that was sweet. I liked that there was so much communication because I feel like oftentimes, you know, we have these romances that people get together and it's like spontaneous climax after climax. That's nice. But that doesn't normally happen when you're like when it's your first time with a new partner. So it was kind of cool to see that they had this communication going on, and that he was really attentive to her needs without being too make-believey, if that makes sense. I feel like a lot of the times if heroes really incredible, they feel almost like fake in a sense. Definitely have that vibe whenever I pick up like an Emily Henry book. No offense, love Emily Henry, but her heroes are a little too perfect sometimes, and sometimes I want a guy with some flaws. And while I don't think Jack had a ton of flaws or anything, I do feel like he was a little bit more realistic. Like he definitely cared about our heroine, he cared about her pleasure, he just cared about her in general, and maybe like his initial attraction to her was a little bit like unbelievable in a sense, but as he like kept getting to know her and like enjoying their shared interests and stuff, I just liked the way their relationship bloomed. So this definitely is a 4-star and not a 5-star romance for me. I think this one feels a little bit more mature than some of Ali Hazelwood's other books, especially I would say than The Love Hypothesis. I like that book, but it does have a certain immaturity to it. And I'm not saying that like this heroine is going to be so different than her other ones or anything like that, but I do think if you're looking for someone who feels a little bit less silly and isn't like falling over herself all the time, you might like this one. Now that I'm saying that, this heroine does have a couple of like falling all over herself moments. Am I just trying to get you to read this book because I liked it? Yeah, maybe I am. I don't think this is a huge departure from her other stuff. I think if you have not historically liked her books, you think her writing is silly, I don't think this is going to be something that's going to really impress you, but I think it's nice to see her growth a little bit and a little bit of a deviation from her other stuff. Like I said, the plotline just feels a little different in this one, and I don't know, I kind of like the direction that things went. It's not going to win any awards or anything, but it's definitely a book that I am going to proudly buy when it comes out and keep on my shelves. So I'd recommend it. I think it was a good one. It definitely didn't disappoint. That's something that I definitely think about when I am reading romances, especially ones that I put on my, you know, like most anticipated list for a given year. But yeah, this one didn't disappoint, and I'm very glad about that because, you know, we have some romances coming out in January. This one didn't come out in January, but I just got access to it early, obviously, with an arc. There are some romances coming out in January that I am hotly anticipating, like Final Offer by Lauren Asher, the new Emily Wiverly and Austin Siegeman broke up book. Goddamn, I can never say their names quick enough for my liking, but I'm obviously looking forward to, is it Do I Know You? I don't know. I get nervous when a lot of good books are coming out at the same time. Like, am I gonna like these? I want to be able at the end of the year to just be like, all of my most anticipated romances were fantastic. I know that's like very unrealistic and unlikely to happen, but a girl can hope and dream and wish, and I'm hoping that I have more romances like this in my life. Granted, like I wanted this one to be a 5-star, but I'm not disappointed with the outcome. I was expecting a lot, right? And I don't know that like at the current moment, Ali Hazelwood has the range to like give me another 5-star book, right? I think she probably should branch out in the future a little bit. Like, I don't know, how do I say this? I like her formula. I think her formula is great, but I think if she continues on with this formula, I'm probably only going to be giving her books like 4 stars in the future just because they're not that different from each other. And like, I think one version of that same formula worked really well for me, and the other two were like good, but not perfect. And like, yeah, I'll probably still pick up her books even if they are all like the same STEM stuff, but I do hope she branches out in the future. I feel like I'm all over the place in my thoughts and feelings here, but I liked the book. I thought it was good, and I think if you like this author, you will enjoy this book. So very pleased and ready to read some more new releases. He's cute. He's watching the birds outside. I'm going to tell y'all about Unfortunately Yours. I think when I last spoke to y'all, I had just finished Love Theoretically, and I'm pretty sure I read that in January. It is now June. Look at me with my pre-planning. This book's about our two main characters, Natalie and August. I don't know why I had to look at the back of the book as if I didn't know the character names, but we find out about these characters in the last book, though I don't think that we get enough like context really for their relationship, and I also sort of don't think we get enough context for their relationship in this book. But these two don't like each other because the heroine insults the hero's wine and his winemaking skills. He has his own vineyard and he is, you know, a vintner. She obviously is the daughter of a pretty renowned winemaker, I guess, in Napa, and she, at the beginning of the story, is kind of in a hard place. I mean, she was in a hard place in the last book. Essentially, she gets fired from her job in New York. She was a like hedge fund manager or something like that, and she messes up and gets fired, and also her fiance dumps her after that because he's embarrassed, I guess, by the fact that she got fired. And so she's back at the family vineyard, kind of like licking her wounds and trying to figure out what she wants to do next. She's thinking she's going to open her own like financial business with her best friend, but she needs money to do that, and to get access to her trust fund early, she needs to marry someone and live with them and be successfully employed, I guess, or something like that, because her dad's a dick. And so she is going to marry August to get this done. August like finds out about her predicament, basically proposes to her, and she's like, okay, I guess so. And this also kind of helps him out because he needs a loan to be able to keep his vineyard open, and he wants to keep it opened because his best friend, it was like his dream to make wine, and he passed away. And so now our hero is like, okay, I'm gonna make sure that I can like live my friend's dreams since he didn't get to live it himself. It's a lot of fun so far. Like, I'm 50% in at this point. I would have updated you earlier, but not much has happened. Not in a bad way. It's just like the story is a little bit smutty and a little bit silly, and it's very much Tessa Bailey. I was surprised at like the level of smut that happened at the beginning of this book. It's not like they have had sex yet, like there's been no P&V intercourse, shall we say, but we've definitely had moments where there have been steamy scenes. She like hops in the shower with him at one point. They've had some like steamy makeouts, and they're trying to like convince other people obviously that they are, you know, very much in love, so they've had to like make out in public even though they don't really like each other. I think that's like a part of this book that's pretty important to note. It does have sort of like an enemies to lovers feel to it. It's fun, like honestly it's fun. It definitely has a different vibe than the last book. What was that one called? Secretly Yours or something like that. That one was pretty good. I think a lot of people disliked that one, and I could definitely see it because the heroine was a little manic pixie dream girlish, but the heroine in this book is definitely a little bit more prickly, and I think someone that a lot of us could relate to, so yeah, it's fun. I feel like I should have more to say or like some profound thoughts, but really it's just fun. I'm just vibing with it. I like the smuttiness. I think Tessa Bailey does a good job getting me invested in the sexy moments, even when they are, in my opinion, too early on in a book, so hats off to her for that. It definitely kind of made me blush, and to me that is the sign of like smut done right. It's not over the top. They're not like rutting in muddy fields like in the first book. I mean, we'll see if anything kinky happens as the book carries on. I'm sure that will happen. Maybe not like the vineyard fucking, but you know. Damn, everybody wants to look at the birds today. All right, I'll update y'all when I am finished with this book, and then we can get started in on the last one that I can't remember the name of. Alright, so I finished Unfortunately Yours, and I unfortunately am too lazy to go down and grab my copy of this book, so enjoy the lovely picture version of the cover right here. I initially had really warm and fuzzy feelings after finishing this book, but given a couple of days to really think about my thoughts about this, think about my feelings and just, you know, simmer with this book, I feel like I actually liked it less than Secretly Yours, which feels a little bizarre to say because I think in some ways this is a book that's going to work for more people. I feel like the heroine in this book, she's a lot less quirky, she's more prickly, like I said in the last clip, and I think that's going to appeal to a certain demographic of people. But that being said, this one just felt less fun to me. Like, the first book genuinely had laugh out loud moments for me. I feel like the quirkiness of the heroine made for an exciting read, even if at times I found myself rolling my eyes. This book didn't have the charm that I really wanted it to have. It was not bad. It was perfectly serviceable, but it was a little bit high on the insta-love side of things. And then I think for me, something that I really was irked by the longer that I sat with the book was the fact that there's this emphasis on our heroine kind of going after what she wants and growing and developing as a person. That's something that we learned at the beginning of the book, that she has this past that she's not super proud of, and she was doing it for attention, and now she is trying to be someone that she's proud of, and she's also trying to, I don't know, find something that she actually truly loves. Like, yes, we find out that she's going to try to like build this financial business, but there are sprinklings throughout the book that she actually cares a lot more about the winemaking process than she has previously let on. And this is challenging because her brother and her mom really cut her out of the family business. They don't ask her for her opinions, they repeatedly shut her down, and that is something that I thought would become a bigger element of this story. And I'm not saying that it needed to end with like a happy family moment, but I wish that we had had more closure in that regard, and we could have seen our heroine move into actually helping her husband instead with his wine business and like making a name for herself. I guess she technically does that, but it didn't feel very well rounded. It felt like things kind of wrapped up too quickly, and I think the overall timeline of the story could have been changed to be a little longer. I mean, it is very insta-love. They are not married for very long before they decide like, oh, I love you so much and we should have been married this entire time. So I didn't hate it. Like, it was very cute. I think I'm gonna give this one like 3 stars, but I think sadly like we are on a downward trajectory, my friends, because we are reading a book now that I'm not super enjoying. Once More with Feeling. I don't like musical theater. And sure, I guess I could have read the synopsis and really just absorbed the musical theater part of things, but I feel like I read the back of this book and I thought this was going to be more about the fact that the hero and the heroine in the story knew each other back in the day and they were both like pop sensations. That is fun to me. The musical theater, like reunited in the future sort of thing, is not really working for me. So essentially the premise of this book is that our main character Katie was like a hot pop star sensation, and she ends up kind of getting some notoriety and having to fade into the background and like kind of loses her career, I guess, when she is caught cheating on her mega like One Direction boyfriend with like another member of the band. His name is Cal. Cal is the hero of this book. So she's reuniting with Cal in the future because they're coming together to both work on a musical that one of Katie's oldest friends, Harriet, is kind of trying to put together about Rosie the Riveter, and it seems like a fairly interesting production, but the book itself and the execution of it is just really not that exciting, and that is disappointing to me. This author wrote a book that I'm pretty sure that I gave 1 star to. It was the book that was based off of a Chris Pine article where he's getting like really flirty with the interviewer, I suppose, and that book is about falling for celebrity, and that doesn't really work for me typically. I don't really like when a normal person falls for a celebrity because there's this sort of like hero worship weirdness that kind of goes on, and I just don't totally love it. Also kind of like a parasocial relationship baked in, so that wasn't really my thing. And I think my main complaint with that story was that there was so much tell and not enough show, and I'm having the same issue in this book. There is a now and then sort of like POV timeline situation. We do get them kind of meeting in the past and what their relationship looked like when they were both like young teen pop sensations. Not teens, I guess they were in their 20s, but pop sensations. And then we also get in the future, I'm assuming in their 30s, as they're, you know, working on this musical together. But I am feeling no type of way towards these two. I don't really care if they get together. The only thing that I'm seeing between them is like a mutual dislike. There are no feelings that they're having to fight, no like physical sensations that are being listed on page. There's just lack of any sort of chemistry that I'm seeing, and that is a huge contrast with the Tessa Bailey book. And you might think that one is, you know, over the top and insta-love, and it is certainly, but this one is like the complete opposite of that. And I feel like I need some middle ground here. Like, I feel like I need some sensations described, like, oh, your heart started beating really quickly when you were around him, something like that. Also, sorry that my camera is kind of moving. Pepper is like rolling around on my tripod. So, you know, it's not the worst thing I've ever read. It's just not super drawing me in. I am only like 116 pages in, so I'm gonna get to the 50% mark and then I'll update you again. I am finishing this book today. Hopefully it doesn't let me down, but you know what? The trajectory again of this video is just okay, so 50% into Once More with Feeling, and I really don't like this book, okay? I really don't. I just got through a scene where our heroine is like suspicious and jealous of someone who is claiming to date the director of her Broadway musical or whatever the fuck. Cal, the guy that she like, you know, I guess had a thing with and cheated on her ex-boyfriend with, whatever. It is so immature and petty and juvenile, and he points it out, but I'm just like, why are you calling this man at midnight to quit this play because someone like teased you a little bit and tried to make you jealous? Like, you were so... It's not charming. It doesn't feel like a, oh, you know, she's relatable. It's not a relatable moment. It is like irritating. And I just, again, I fail to see how these two are supposed to be attracted to each other, into each other. I'm 50% into this book, and yet I've been given nothing. I've been given nothing to work with. No material. I'm gonna finish this book, you know? What a vlog. All right, my friends, we've reached the end of the road, and if this looks familiar to you, this setting, this t-shirt, it's because I am filming the intro and the outro of this video at the same time. And same setting. I literally just filmed the intro of this video. Anyway, once more with feeling was bad. It really just didn't do it for me, and I think that I already kind of adequately summed up in the last clip what exactly about this book doesn't work for me. And the biggest thing here is that this is a missed opportunity in a lot of regards. There is no emotion or physical sensation described on page, which I think does a huge disservice to the storytelling. And additionally, I'm just finding that with this author's storytelling, she picks interesting concepts and she picks interesting dual timeline situations, but she doesn't utilize them in a way that's interesting. You know, in the present, we've got this really interesting two are coming back together, they're gonna be in a musical together sort of situation, and there's not enough time spent on the musical. I know I said I don't like musicals, and I stand by that. However, if you're going to make a book with musical theater included, I want to see the nitty-gritty everyday details. And I guess you could say that some of that is included, but I never felt like it went very deep. I never felt like I learned anything new about musical theater. It was very surface level, like, oh, we're at rehearsal. Oh, I'm doing a dance. Oh, this dance is really hard. It just didn't feel exciting or interesting. And then same situation with the kind of past timeline. We have a very compelling, interesting, read in the sense that our heroine was a pop star, and like, what was that like? And yes, again, we get some hints about that, but that's about it. Like, just hints, not actual, like, this is what it was like in the moment. There's no sense of, like, visceral reaction. I don't feel like I'm in this person's shoes and feeling what they're feeling. It's like I'm an outsider and I don't care about this person and I don't care about her experiences. That's, like, the opposite of what it's supposed to be. And so not only do I not care about the actual circumstances surrounding the characters, but I also just can't seem to find myself caring about the romance that is included in both timelines. Like, you are telling me that these two had a relationship and that it ended poorly. And okay, you show me that they kissed and had sex. You don't show me the sex on page in the past. You just say they had sex. There was emphasis on the wrong things. The scenes that were important were not included. Frustration is what I felt reading this book. So I'm giving this book 2 stars. I have decided, and I say this in my Goodreads review, this author is simply not for me. It's challenging when I do take on videos, like list videos, because I want to read all of the books for those videos, as long as they're, not like the 17th book in a series or something. I like to read all of the books so I can give you my honest thoughts and feelings on them. But I think after doing these videos multiple years in a row, I'm left with this sense that, like, certain authors just aren't for me. I've read 3 books by this author, all of them have been 2 stars kind of thing, And in this case, only 2 books. They've both been 2 stars. Actually, I think the last one was 1 star. But I just don't like her stuff. It doesn't work for me. And I know her stuff works for so many people. I'm glad these books exist and I'm glad that people enjoy them, but they just don't work for me. And that's okay. And maybe I will take a different approach or a different tactic going forward with list videos and just say, hey, I don't like this author's work. I'm not going to read this book. I don't know what the solution is there. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I just know for sure that this is just not an author for me, and that is okay. Also, something I said in my Goodreads review that I just remembered is that during sex, she asks him to touch her breasts. And I'm sorry, I don't think there's a less sexy word to be used during sex. I just think of like a KFC bucket meal. Like, it's not sexy. Anyway, I had a good time filming this video, even though, again, it went, you win some, you lose some. I feel like the last new release video, okay, I guess that one was kind of a mixed bag, right? No. I've filmed so many of these that are all kind of running together. They're like the new KU reading vlog on my channel. I just feel like I do so many of them. But a 4-star, a 3-star, and a 2-star, could be worse. I would recommend Love Theoretically if you enjoy Ali Hazelwood. I would say if you like Tessa Bailey and you're looking for like a quick, easy, fun read that's not going to be the most romantic thing ever, unfortunately yours. If you like this author, pick this book up. I think you won't be disappointed. I, however, was. So, thanks so much for watching this video. I love y'all so much, and until next time.